It's time for the perfect start to your week, a fresh edition of Futbol Americas. Come on into our studios, everyone. Grab a cup of tea or whatever you need, a little something stronger, who knows, and join us for the next hour or so.
Coffee?
By that I mean coffee, you know.
Right,
Some people like to have coffee in the evening. I'm Alexis Yunus, alongside Futbol Americas' Ale Moreno, and the return of Herculez Gomez from his 20-day luxury vacation, which included front row VIP seats at a Shakira concert.
Which meant, by the way, that I had to be sitting in that seat last week.
You did great, by the way.
Well, thank you, Hercules. This is why I do it.
Watching his story.
I do it for you. Yeah. I had to come into work because you were watching a concert. Is this correct?
Yes. Yes.
He's entitled to
Well,
his
I was on my
holiday,
vacation, and my lovely wife
The way
wanted to go to Shakira.
the way it was
Torreon.
presented to me, was that because you extended your vacation to watch this concert, you extended your vacation.
We extended
How
our
the-
vacation. We extended our vacation
Yes.
to visit my mother-in-law.
How the other half live.
And watch Shakira.
How the other half live. It must be amazing. What's also amazing is this kit that you have on, Herc. I know you love your kits, but tell me a bit more about this one.
This is York United. As many of you know, that's a Canadian soccer team that we've had them on the show a couple times. And actually, Jorge Villalpando, one of my ex-teammates, he's the sporting director there.
Ooh, friends in high places. Why don't you tell the good folk how you got Shakira tickets, Herc?
Just made a phone call.
He just had a phone call because they were at Santos' stadium, and they said, "Oh, Herc, are you in town? Do you want like VIP seats?" And he was like, "Yeah." Y colorín colorado.
Ese cuento se ha acabado. So you watched Futbol Americas while you were watching Shakira?
I watched it the next day.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I had to watch it on YouTube because,
Yeah.
All right, well, there you
Figure
go.
as much. Shaka, myself, working hard with Alex.
Natum and
a
all.
lot of people, except this guy.
Herculez Gomez. Well, speaking of exceptions, we're going to be talking about Neymar, who may not be on Carlo Ancelotti's list. Well, now
he may have an extended vacation during the World Cup.
Speaking of extended vacations, where Carlo Ancelotti has named his 23-man squad for the next round of World Cup qualifiers, and for the second time since taking over as Brazil manager, the Italian has left out Neymar as well as Vini Jr. and Rodrigo, while Lucas Paqueta has earned a spot. Well, here is what Ancelotti had to say about those omissions. He said, "It's a list that has changed a little since the first call-up. We don't have players like Carlos Augusto, Danilo, Andres Pereira, Gerson, Ederson, Anthony, and Vinicius who aren't in, because my idea is to get to know new players that I don't know well. On the technical side, I know all the players, and I want to get to know others who can help the team do things well. Neymar is not in this second call-up because he had a small problem last week, but he doesn't need to be tested. Everyone knows Neymar, the national team, and all the fans in Brazil. Neymar, like everyone else, needs to get into good physical condition to be able to help the team do well and try to do their best in the World Cup." Well, that sounds like Neymar may have a point to prove, despite saying this a couple weeks ago.
Te assisti hoje, ele estava aqui no Morumbi. Você acha que você agradou ele? Juan, da seleção.
Cara, eu não preciso provar nada pra ninguém.
All right, well, that was Neymar that we talked about after a Santos game, where he was asked if he felt like Carlo Ancelotti was in the crowd, and he had a point to prove to him in terms of being called up for this next round of World Cup qualifiers. And he said, "I don't have anything to prove to anyone," but Ale Moreno said differently. And Ale, here we are a couple of weeks later, and I don't know, it's giving point to prove.
Right, and as my beautiful, lovely wife, love you, babe, love you, she tells me time and time again, it's not just what you said, it's how you said it. Again, in speaking about Neymar, it's not just what he said, it's how he said it, dismissively. I don't have anything to prove. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. And while in the totality of his career, I suppose that he can make the argument, I'm the all-time leading goal scorer in Brazilian national team history, okay. So I suppose if you look at that and you make that the one thing that either makes or breaks Carlo Ancelotti's decision to include Neymar, then he would say, yeah, I don't have anything to prove. And yes, I suppose that makes sense. The issue is that player, that version of Neymar has been gone for a long, long time. And it hasn't really done anything for Neymar going back to Brazil and trying to play at Santos because he hasn't been able to stay fit. So whether he likes it or not, the one thing that he has to prove to Carlo Ancelotti and whoever else is that he can stay consistently fit and available to play. And while he does that, he also has to prove that he can still be a game changer, a difference maker. Because the only reason that Carlo Ancelotti would include him in the World Cup squad, the only reason is that Neymar is a problem worth taking to the World Cup. It's a risk worth taking. And the only way that he becomes a problem and an issue that is worth taking and a risk that is worth taking is that he prove he's still a difference maker. Just ask Santos fans right now.
Yeah.
And over the last couple of seasons for that matter. Just ask them. Has Neymar been a difference maker, a game changer for your club over the last 12 months? Has he been that? And the truth of the matter is, no, he has not. If I could say it in Portuguese, I would tell you in Portuguese. Não!
Now.
Não! Não dá.
Não dá.
Neymar. Here, I think overall, what I would say about Neymar is decisions, right? And you're coming into a national team that has all the expectations in the world, even though that squad that you just showed there is
Not scaring anyone.
as it pertains to Brazil and the standards of Brazil. That doesn't scare anybody in terms of the elite level teams. The only reason that I go back, if I'm Carlo Ancelotti and I'm thinking I'm going to dip my toe into the Neymar pool, is if I see that this guy can give me something special. Because we need something special. I just told you, they're short. We need something special. Can he give me something special? Well, not yet. It doesn't seem like it. So why would I take this risk if I'm Carlo Ancelotti? It's not worthwhile.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second here. He's been terrible at Santos. I wouldn't say terrible. I'd say Santos has been terrible. I'd say that's the bigger issue is the level of play for Santos.
But he was brought in to make a difference.
Herculez, you cannot tell me that this guy has been good at Santos.
No, I just don't think he's been terrible.
Yeah, but do you take a
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, you take a guy that has been okay, is that enough?
Well, you're asking of why you take him if he's worth the headache. And I think the reason you do take him is because there's nobody in that pool can offer you anything if he's anywhere near that ceiling. If he's anywhere near what you've seen before from Neymar in a tournament setting, he could perhaps provide a moment of magic, perhaps provide inspiration, perhaps be a player of worth for you. Now, is Neymar wrong in his assessment of that he doesn't need to show? I mean, you know what Neymar has. You know what Neymar can do. Neymar needs to be fit.
Yeah.
And Carlo Ancelotti said it himself. He doesn't need to see Neymar. The same way he doesn't need to see Vini. He doesn't need to see Rodrigo. He doesn't see Enric. He knows what he gets from these players.
That's not. I couldn't disagree more with you, Herculez, when it comes to that. He does need to see Neymar.
Well, you just said he didn't.
No, but I could have put together this statement for Carlo Ancelotti, and I would have said exactly the same thing. Because that way he deflects the question on Neymar. I said, well, you know, he got himself hurt last week, and so therefore I don't really need to see him because I know what he is. No, we don't. We don't know what Neymar is right now. We don't. And he doesn't either. What Neymar was 5 years ago is completely different to what he is now. And what he is now is not worthwhile.
It's not even 5 years ago. Let's go back to Qatar.
Okay, all right.
Neymar, his fitness
Don't
was
make my point for me.
No. He easily still the best player. And his fitness was easily the reason they did not advance versus Croatia. If he doesn't injure his ankle, we're talking about a different maybe moment for Brazil. He's that type of player. He's that type of special talent. And for a player pool,
he was that type of player.
That's what I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm trying to get at.
But you're taking the scenic route to get there. You're going to a Shakira concert and then come
but it's not a scenic route, Ali. Look at the pool. And if you can tell me that if you can get anywhere near the level that Neymar has shown, sometimes in games with Santos, when he is fit, That's a player worth taking. He's 33 years old right now. Now, I don't believe the headache for Carlo Ancelotti with Neymar is bigger than the headache it is with Vini. Okay? That's a different story. But I don't believe there's a headache to be had there. It's just a fitness issue. Can you be fit enough to play? And if you can prove he's fit enough to play, that's all you need to see. Because you don't need to see if Neymar still has money. You're going to see his fitness. That's what you need to see. Fitness. That's it with Neymar.
Well, you're dismissing this fitness as if, like, that's it. Well, that's a big deal.
Well, that's why he's not going.
That's a big deal. Yeah, but that's part of being a player.
Of course it is, Ali. But you have a year.
That's part of being a player. If you cannot prove that you can be fit and ready to play at your highest level, whatever that highest level is for Neymar now, then is that a risk worth taking? When Neymar shows up into that locker room, it's not like you and I showing up into the locker room in Brazil, in which these guys are going to be like, who are these guys? Where do they come from?
No,
why are they here? When Neymar walks into that locker room, everybody sits up, takes notice, and now we go out on the field and we're going to go, yeah, that's the guy that we're going to give the ball. Because that is the respect that he demands and requires within the Brazilian national team. And all these players are going to cater to Neymar. But now you're building all your plans offensively and really as a team around a guy that simply has not been anywhere near top level, elite level performance for years now. Not for a couple of months, not because he wasn't fit. Even when he was fit, he still wasn't at the level that is required for him to be leading Brazil. And that's the point. If you are going to change everything for Neymar, he's got to be worthwhile. Otherwise, you keep him in Brazil and have him enjoy the World Cup just like you and I will from the couch.
So you're out. It's a year out. And if he can be fit, there's nothing in me that believes he will not be part of that team.
Yeah, but he cannot be dismissive. And my point is he cannot be dismissive and say, I don't have anything to prove. No, yes, you do. You have to prove that you can stay fit.
If he's dismissive or not, I think that's a different argument to the argument to be made that he couldn't help you out. He's a player.
He can only help you out if he's fit, if he's near his best level.
But that has nothing to do with him being dismissive. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If he's
you're going around in circles, and now you're changing the whole narrative.
Not going around in circles because you're saying he can't be dismissive. If he's fit, he can be whatever he wants.
No, because that's part of the problem. It is.
Attitude.
It's the wrong. You have to be self-aware enough to know that you are not the player that you once were.
Mm-hmm. But it's not about. Okay, understood. Self-aware. That's fine. I think we're going about it in circles here. I'm trying to tell you that this player, with the talent level that he has. Okay, the ceiling.
But what is that talent level?
And the current level of the player pool.
What is that talent level?
And the current level of the player pool. You can ill afford not to take him if he's fit.
Right now, what is the talent level of Neymar? Right now,
it's a player with talent who gets injured. It's a player with talent who's not been able to play 100% of the time.
So is that worthwhile then?
If you take him and he's fit, yes, it's worthwhile. Of course it is. You need him. You need him for 3 weeks.
This is not of course.
You need him for 3 weeks.
This is not an of course situation, Herculez, because you're thinking of what he was, and what he was. I would have him in my team all the time. I defend Neymar and I say, look what you know.
We haven't seen that in years.
But that hasn't been him.
I understand what you're saying, but it's not just a Neymar situation. It's not just a Neymar in the equation. It's also what is Brazil today. That is the other part. You don't have anybody close to him. You don't have anybody in the midfield close to that creativity. If he can offer you something, and we've seen this many times before in different national teams, if he can offer you something in a tournament that's 3 weeks' time or 3 weeks,
right,
you're going to bring him.
But you know what I would have liked? When he was asked the question about whether he had done enough to impress Carlo Ancelotti, he said, like, I'm trying to do that every day. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm ready and available for this team and willing and able to give everything that I can for Brazil. Instead, he looked at...
I don't have anything to prove.
I don't have anything to prove.
We're on the same boat.
And that attitude needs to change. And Carlo Ancelotti, I'm not the only one who's looking at this. Ancelotti is also processing and digesting this information. And I said, do I need that? Do I need that? Is that worthwhile for me?
Just answer me this. I agree with what you're saying, okay? Ideal world, that's what you would want Neymar to say. As the leader, as the person but if he is fit...
Okay, ask me. If I were the Brazilian national team coach, I tell Neymar, thanks, but no thanks. I appreciate it. You haven't done enough, and it doesn't seem like you're going to be enough for me in a year's time. Unless there is an incredible change Dramatic change and a shift in your level of play, which is in the end what I would evaluate. Your level of play. Is your level of play right now better than Vini Jr.'s? Is your level of play right now better than Rafinha? If it's not, then it's not worthwhile for me to change everything in this team so that you're part of it.
All right, let's leave it at that right there, because you mentioned a name that I definitely want to talk about as well, and that is Vinicius Jr.
Vini ha entrado muy bien. Creo que ha sido decisivo para marcar los 2 goles que nos han dado esa tranquilidad, y contento por él. Necesitamos a todos, los que inician, los que entran desde el banquillo, y va a haber un montón de partidos para todos. Tenemos 20 y pico jugadores en plantilla y voy a intentar sacar lo mejor de todos ellos para sacar el mejor equipo posible. Ya te digo, a veces pues iniciar y ser importante, a veces pues tener unos minutos y ser importante. Hoy Vini lo ha sido, y mi intención es que todos sumen, todos estén preparados para poder jugar, y esa va a ser la tónica durante todo el año. Cada uno es diferente, hay que exigir lo mismo, el mismo respeto, pero cada uno es de una forma diferente, y la relación que tienes es también un poco diferente, ¿no? Y yo creo que en el fútbol hay que entender las cosas, en el fútbol se toman las decisiones pensando por el equipo, y hoy ha sido así.
All right, so is that shots fired there from Xabi Alonso? Now, just to put things into perspective, Vini Jr. did eventually come on, as Xabi was just talking about. He did have an assist. He did also end up scoring a goal too. So he got the response that we felt that Xabi may have wanted, Herc. So do you feel like Xabi was sending a message to Vini Jr. by leaving him out of the 11? Message
sent, but I don't believe it's shots fired. It's just doing what any good coach would do. If you feel there is a department lacking in a player, you're going to test them. You put him on the bench, it lit a fire on him. You also reward Rodrigo probably for what he's been doing throughout the week in his training sessions. Rodrigo played very well. And Vini comes on, and he played very well.
Yeah.
And not only was Vini good, but he showed that he could link up with Kylian Mbappe. And put on the bench, when you come on, you want to make a difference. He did that. If you're Xabi and you put a player on the bench, you want to see that the fire is lit there, that it means something when he comes on the field. He did that as well. This is a win-win in my book. You recuperated a player like Rodrigo, who was nowhere to be found. Since the first game of the Club World Cup, he was out. He was put in the back burner. Persona non grata, and now he comes on, he does very well. Kylian Mbappe is 2 weeks, 3 goals. He seems to be a dangerous player, leader on the field. And Vini Jr., you lit that fire that he keeps going that way. It's the old Vini. It's the Vini Ballon d'Or year. So all the right buttons were pushed by Xabi Alonso, whether there were shots fired or not. He did what any good manager would do.
Ale, let me ask you this, because you and I, of course, were on duty for this game. You were on the call for it, so we were watching it with an extra keen eye. Do you feel, similarly to Neymar, that Vini probably has a point to prove as well for club and country? He's coming off of, by Real Madrid's standards, one of the worst seasons they've had, where they finished with no silverware. We know how high it is. And, of course, given the demands needed for a country like Brazil anytime they touch the ball, do you feel like Vini has a point to prove?
Well, he better feel like he has a point to prove. And I think he had a point to prove coming off the bench. And if you want to pay attention as to what version of Vini we watched against Oviedo, you can pay attention to the assist, you can pay attention to his goal, and you say, well, there's the reaction. I actually will go further than that. It's the pressing of the ball, which has been the concern in terms of, are Kylian Mbappe and Vini Jr. going to press the ball together, and are they going to give you that work? In the assist that he has for Kylian Mbappe, it is Vini Jr. that reads a pass and goes and presses the ball, wins possession of the ball, and then goes in the attack from there. And if you're Xabi Alonso, this is what you utilize in your video with Vini Jr. You sit him right next to you and you say, you see this? Are you seeing this? This is what I need you to do. And you see this combination with Kylian? This is what I need you to do more consistently. You do this, you're going to be on the field all the time. This is what I'm asking you to do. And so to Herculez' point, I think Xabi Alonso, what he does in making the decision that he made, he is essentially saying, I am the one making the decisions. You're not running this team. I'm running the team. And if you don't want to do what I'm asking you to do, then come here, sit right here comfortably with me. I have other players that can do the job. I have other options. You're not the only option. And it's not a coincidence that this is happening while he's going through a contract negotiation that has come to a standstill, and there's talk about shots fired here and there. Now we don't know what's happening. You're concerned about your contract? You sit here. You're concerned about playing? You go over there. If we then take this to the conversation about Brazil and a point to prove with Brazil, Vini has been one of those players that has consistently come up short for Brazil, or shorter than we thought he would be and what the expectations are. And that's why people like Herculez, this guy, are still thinking about Neymar.
Yeah, you're right.
Because Vini Jr.,
you're absolutely right.
It still hasn't really grabbed a hold of the national team and made it his national team. I don't know that the absence of Vini Jr. helps that situation out for Brazil, given the fact that there aren't that many opportunities for Brazil to play competitive games from now till the World Cup. But if anybody knows Vini Jr. well, that would be Carlo Ancelotti.
Yep.
I will give the benefit of the doubt that I do not give Neymar. I will give to Carlo Ancelotti in knowing what to do with Vini Jr. because here's a man that throughout the course of his career as a manager has been very well known and well described as a man manager. And if there was ever a player that right now needs to be man managed, is Vini Jr. with Brazil. I suspect that we're going to get close to the best of Vini Jr. with Real Madrid if he gets the message that was sent by Xabi Alonso. And I suspect that we will get a better version than what we have seen so far from Vini Jr. with Brazil because of the presence of Carlo Ancelotti. I suspect.
I hope so. But the same manager who couldn't do it last year with Vini, day in and day out. Now you're going to have him every couple of months for a week. It's going to be difficult, but Vini, he's the only one that could help himself. And you're absolutely right. This is why people like me still cling on to Neymar, because you look at Vini Jr., you look at Rodrigo, you look at Endrick, you look at Rafinha, and when it comes to the Brazilian national team, Marquinhos has more goals. You know, they've not done anything in that jersey. This is why people still cling on to Neymar, but
People, you.
well, I don't think I'm in a minority here. I think there's a large camp of this.
Yeah,
but
that every time you
because
see-
all of you, those of you that are in that camp, are thinking, that Neymar. And I'll be the first one to say, if it was that Neymar, then yes.
Happily.
Yes.
But not this Neymar. From Brazil, we're going to talk about Argentina right now and a specific wonder kid, and that's Franco Mastantuono. He got his first start for Xabi Alonso in a Real Madrid shirt. We saw 25 minutes of him in their first game, which was a underwhelming win by Real Madrid standards. He got more time now. Let's be steady, but everyone's already started, comparing him to Lamine Yamal and saying
who's
that
everybody?
The press in Madrid.
This sounds like Herculez and his friends
Let's
again.
be honest. And look, we've spoken about it all week as well on our other show, ESPN FC. We've had our journalists come on and say, look, maybe it is a bit of an overreaction in Spain, but does he look that special to you?
Listen, Real Madrid doesn't spend what they spend on you as a teenager if you're not special. He's a special player.
But already to warrant comparisons with Lamine Yamal.
Well, that's the thing, is because Lamine Yamal, I'm trying to be very careful how we hype up or not Lamine Yamal,
Still.
comparing him to Messi. And look what he's already done at 18 years of age. Messi couldn't do that at 18 years of age. He only had one goal. Look at this, all these games, The thing is, the eye test. There's been no player at that age that's looked the part and actually been the part like Lamine. So until we see somebody who even comes close, Lamine's he's in a class of his own. Got an IQ about him, a certain air in the final third. You can tell he wants to do things a little bit different. But you cannot compare him right now with Lamine, and that's a mistake.
Ale, are you surprised he got the start?
Well, no, given that Herculez and his friends are already comparing him to Lamine Yamal. Look, this is unnecessary, by the way. Unnecessary pressure on Franco Mastantuono.
Absolutely.
He has what I would say would be an okay 25 minutes when he came on against Osasuna. He got involved, got a couple of good touches, combined a couple of times, and now and this is coming from the Real Madrid media apparatus, that this whole, let's put that out there and float that idea out there, and people are going to hang on to it. Bring it back, baby. I mean, reel it back. Franco Mastantuono decent 25 minutes against Osasuna, and I would say that it was a decent 63 minutes against Oviedo, in which we saw a couple of things that looked kind of like something that could become potentially something, but we didn't see anything that was, man, that was special. Now, solid, not necessarily explosive, dynamic on the dribble, combined a couple of times. He dropped into playmaking positions a couple of times. Never really saw him taking somebody 1v1 situation. And when we did, he was all too comfortable just cutting back and then looking for the combination, getting the ball back, which shows you confidence, but it's not a guy that is taking players on. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to have the conversation, and this is a conversation that Real Madrid wants to have about Lamine Yamal and Franco Mastantuono, then the first thing that you need to see, can Mastantuono glide by people like Lamine Yamal is currently doing? And you have to say, based upon the evidence that we have so far, the answer is not yet. So everybody calm down.
Calma.
Reel it back. Allow this player to develop. Nurture this player's talent. He will become a really good player for Real Madrid. You have to trust that that's going to be the case, and that Xabi Alonso and the players around him are going to make him even better, and he's going to develop and he's going to grow. But allow that to happen organically.
Yes.
Don't force feed this whole rhetoric of, this is the guy, this is the answer, this is our version of Lamine Yamal, this is Real Madrid's version of Lamine Yamal. No need to do that at all.
Calma, guys.
Please.
As my goat would say. Come on, calma. But one thing you shouldn't be too calm about, but you should get excited about, is that there's plenty more La Liga on ESPN. Real Madrid up against Mallorca. Oh, no Mallorca, Ale. You're going to be here
I'll
instead.
tell you what.
But make sure to tune in. We'll be there Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, but join us 30 minutes before for our pre-show at 3 p.m. In case you missed it now, this familiar face, Thomas Muller, scored his first MLS goal on Saturday, rescuing the Vancouver Whitecaps against St. Louis. They won 3-2, but the question is what he said after. Did he leak an upcoming U.S. men's national team call-up for one of his teammates?
We're missing some guys at this moment. Tristan now is nominated for the USA, so if he plays good today, the game is already played. Yeah, in the end it is what it is. I heard what I heard. Congrats to Tristan. And congrats to USA.
Thomas Muller, one of one. May he never, ever change. And thanks for that little leak, Thomas. You're one of us now. But there you have it. The U.S. men's national team roster for, well, they're not really World Cup qualifiers, I guess, just friendlies for the USA, drops tomorrow. We're expecting a couple of names there. I think he just gave us one name. But Herc, I want to come to you for this. What are you expecting from this roster? Because for the first time, we feel like we have everybody fit, ready to play, a plethora of players to choose from. We don't feel like, or I personally don't feel like it's time for Mauricio Pochettino to hit us with a Carlo Ancelotti and say, there are some fringe players or MLS-based players that I still want to get a look or two of. Come on, we're less than a year out now. Should this roster be as close to what we should expect the squad to be for next year's World Cup?
Absolutely. It should be as close to what you expect to field next summer at the World Cup. That's what worries me, is that he has no idea what's supposed to be as close to the starting 11, what's supposed to be close to the 15, or even after that.
How many MLS players are you expecting?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And it's not because I feel Major League Soccer is below some of the European players and where they play. It's just there's been no rhyme or reason with Mauricio Pochettino and the way he's gone about things, the way he's gone about call-ups. Mauricio Pochettino has also been very stern and adamant that it doesn't matter where you play. Mm-hmm. He wants you to be important where you play. If you're an important player where you play and you prove it when you're with the U.S. men's national team, he will give you an opportunity. At least that's what we keep hearing So if that's the case, whether you play for the Vancouver Whitecaps or whether you play for AC Milan, he's going to see you the same. That's what we're hearing. So from that out, I don't know what to expect. I expect there will be a good mixture of what we've seen this summer and probably what was not available. Tristan Blackman, to me, is not the story here. It's a great moment for him. He's 29 years old to get an opportunity like this. A few months ago, there was some talk about Canada pursuing him. Jesse Marsh interest in Blackman. But for 29 years old to be getting your first taste with the men's national team the summer before the World Cup, it's a big moment. And if Mauricio Pochettino thinks that Tristan Blackman is better than some of the center backs he has in that pool, that's telling you a lot. That's telling you a lot. It's telling you how much he doesn't rate some of the center backs that are in that pool. So I expect to be surprised when the call-ups come this week.
Oh, Herc's expecting a surprise. Ale, what are you expecting from this squad?
I wonder, and I don't know Mauricio Pochettino, and I don't know personally how he goes about making these decisions, but I wonder if there's a part of him that sits back and says, in this call-up, I could really send a message. I could really just dig into some of these guys that didn't want to show up this past summer. I could really let them know that, hey, you're not a shoo-in. Don't think that because you play here, there, and anywhere, that the door is open for you all the time. Because when I asked you to be part of something, you said no. So I can say no too. Now, if Pochettino were negative and vindictive like
you,
I can be, I wouldn't hesitate 1 second in sending all the messages that I need to send. However, I'm not dumb. I can be negative and vindictive, but I'm not dumb. And I know that I'm running out of time. I know that there's only limited opportunities to have these players. So I would call them in, all of them. But I would have my meeting, not individually, with all of them. Right there, so everybody hears me out and knows how I feel about everybody. That's how I would take it out. Right there, in front of everybody, that nobody is above this national team and nobody turns down call to the national team. That's how I would do it if I were him. But there's a part of me that would be,
a little petty.
Yes, or a lot.
Oh, I love being petty.
Hey, I make the decisions and I'm the one who's choosing. You don't choose. I choose. I pick you for the national team. And if you want to be part of this, then be excited to be here. If you are hesitant about this, then get.
Herc, anyone specifically that you'd like to see in this window? Everybody.
Well, what Ali's saying right now it rings true because of who they are and what they mean to the program. It's Christian Pulisic, it's
Weston
a Yunus
McKennies.
Musah. Well, the Weston McKennies and those other players had no choice.
Yeah.
But we're specifically talking about the guys who
Opted out.
I don't think there'll be an issue if Pochettino does what Ali's suggesting he do because of the players he's doing it to. They're not exactly two players with strong personalities that are going to push back. I think this is going to boil over. This is going to be a non-issue, but you need to send a message. That's the way you feel. If you feel like the players are running over you, if you're the coach, you need to send that message. I'm more worried about who you're going to have in this camp because the more and more, well, just the more and more I see the call-up trends. I don't think he has an idea of what he wants or how good they are because Josh Sargent's been scoring goals in the championship for the last 3 years. But if you look at his numbers with the U.S. men's national team, they've not been great. And the minutes haven't been great either. And it's always something. I've defended Josh Sargent for the longest time, but it's always something. He's injured when the call-up comes. He comes injured to camp. He doesn't take advantage of the few minutes that he does get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's always something. At some point, you've got to say, I see the hype. I see what everybody's talking about. But I've also seen you in training. And my worry is he's not seen enough from the players he's had in. He's done it to Giovanni Moreno as well. At one point in the Nations League, in the Final Four, he looked over when they needed a goal, looked at the bench and said, Gio Reyna, I'm good. So he's given a good look at what he has, and he's decided, you know what? I think I'm going to go with Tristan Blackman this time.
Just on Maurizio, we know a lot about him, covering Premier League teams, he spent a successful period at Tottenham. Just as a player, what is he like to work with? What are his demands in the way that he wants to play?
Yeah, no, he wants us. He first of all, we train very hard. It makes us train very hard. We work very hard in training so that we're prepared in the match to be able to play at that intensity. And then he's very keen on like the energy we bring out in the field and how much we want it. I think that's something that we have to bring back in our team. The fire when we bring into matches. That helped us in a lot of games against the big teams. Sometimes it's about who wants it more. And Mauricio is trying to get that in us, get that fire in us, and make sure that when teams come to play us, they have a really tough time.
I mean, the run to the Gold Cup final must have given the squad a lot of confidence and self-belief. I mean, obviously you weren't there. I mean, are you able to sort of tell us what happened and why you missed it?
Yeah, honestly, I was gutted that I couldn't go to the Gold Cup. The coaches, were all disappointed that I didn't go. But ultimately, I needed to make that decision for myself because I needed to switch off. And really, after a tough season, I needed that time off. And ultimately, it was, to take that period off then so that I could be in good shape to be able to carry on now the whole season and be able to give my best for both club and national team.
Was that a difficult thing to do? Because we talk a lot generally about player welfare and the number of games and just everything that you guys are being asked to do now, and more competitions, more matches. But it's quite a thing for a player to think that far ahead and think, actually, if I want to be in peak condition next summer, I can't be playing this summer. Is that how sort of tough was that process to make that call and sort of step back? Yeah,
it's a very tough decision because people could easily say like, everyone else is playing, why aren't you, but no one else is in my body, no one else is in my head. So everyone that knows me knows that I'm honest and a hardworking guy. But when times are like how they were and I couldn't carry on playing for that summer, I had to take that decision for myself. No one else knows how I feel, and I hope that people understood my decision. And it was about taking care of myself and being able to come back ultimately and be able to give my best for the rest of the season.
Was Maurizio quite supportive of that decision? Because from the outside, he always seems like a manager who kind of understands that players have these different kind of needs and demands and things. Did you feel like he was quite supportive when you came to him and said, look, I think I just need a little bit of a break?
Yeah. I spoke to, the assistant, and he was quite, open. He was ultimately, whatever you feel like, you need to do. You can't force me to go to the tournament. But if I feel like I really need this break and that's how I feel, then, he has to accept that, that's how he felt.
All right, well, the Football Reporters podcast will have the full interview with Yunus Musah, and that appears on Tuesday. Make sure to get it on ESPN's Pod Center or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so interesting stuff, guys, there that Yunus Musah had to say specifically about how he didn't exactly speak to Mauricio Pochettino directly about his decision to opt out of the World Cup. It was the assistant. And how he did say, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's my decision. It's my body. I know how I feel. So even if you wanted me there or forced me to be there, you really couldn't. What do you think of what he said, Herc?
What he said or what apparently transpired?
What transpired?
It should be Mauricio Pochettino speaking to the player. It should be Mauricio Pochettino speaking to the player. If he's saying, I can't go, the next one's going to be Mauricio Pochettino pick up the phone. What do you mean you can't go? What's going on? Are you hurt? Is there a situation? But you pick up the phone, you get down to it. It can't just be the assistant coach tells Mauricio Pochettino he don't want to go. He's not going to go. I want to know what's going on if I'm the coach. Yunus Musah, there's a big difference between Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musah. Christian Pulisic doesn't go. Going to ruffle some feathers. We're going to be talking about it. We'll probably get away with it because he's Christian Pulisic. Yunus Musah? Yunus Musah doesn't want to go, and there's no reason behind it. If I'm Mauricio Pochettino, that could be it for Yunus Musah. He's not Christian Pulisic. A lot of people may not like that, but that's the world we live in. There's Christian Pulisic for the U.S. men's national team, and there's Yunus Musah for the U.S. men's national team. There's a lot of fault to be had here, from the players to Pochettino and his camp. But I can't, for the life of me, believe that there was a conversation about not going or not being part of the summer with the U.S. men's national team, and it wasn't had with Mauricio Pochettino.
But
Ale, you were shaking your head when you were listening to that.
Well, first of all, I understand, and Yunus Musah looks like a likable guy. He's answering the question with a smile, and so I have no issues with that whatsoever. But with that same smile, I would also have to say, Yunus, you're 22 years old, man. 22. And we're complaining about how much toll this is putting on your body, and I'm thinking to myself, and I can only go back to my experiences. I cannot speak about other people's experiences.
Back in 1920.
A while back. But to that point, where the travel arrangements were not nearly as evolved.
Staff wasn't as evolved.
No, and let me just say, traveling in South America is not the most comfortable, efficient, and effective. And so I'm thinking, and I go back to being 30 years old and doing everything I could to be part of a Copa America squad, or doing everything I could to be part of World Cup qualifiers. And if that meant traveling across the United States and then down to South America to do that, as crazy as it might have been, that's what it was expected of me, and it's what I expected of myself. So I have very little sympathy for this whole, I need a break. And call me old school, I don't know. I have very little sympathy for that, so that's a non-starter for me. Now, you just mentioned there, Herculez, that Pochettino should be talking to Yunus Musah. I can turn it around and say Yunus Musah should be talking to Pochettino.
I'm just saying there needs to be a conversation.
Yeah.
You can't leave it to the assistant coach.
Yes, and if I'm Yunus Musah and my reasoning is I need a break, I need to have something about me to pick up the phone and directly contact the national team coach, in this case Mauricio Pochettino, and explain your reasons, so that one-on-one conversation can happen, but you're also showing something about your personality. You're also showing something about your makeup, in which you're willing to have that conversation. Now, I don't know the ins and outs. Maybe he tried it, and maybe they just deflected that phone call to the assistant coach. And if that's the case, all right, so be it. But that conversation needed to happen. And the other thing that I just don't understand, and it's hard for me to wrap my brain around it, is this whole idea that you skipping your regional tournament, which would be your most important tournament. Now, some of the United States players and those that are based in Europe apparently don't think of Gold Cup as their most important tournament, for whatever the case may be. But it should be the priority of the United States to win Gold Cup all the time. Having said all that, how is it that you go about not only missing the tournament, and you're thinking, because in a year's time, I want to be ready for the World Cup. You know how long a year is in a player's career, and all the training sessions and all the matches that you're going to play and all the traveling that you're going to do, and how likely you are to get injured within that year anyways? And you're thinking that resting now, this 3 weeks, somehow is going to absolve you from the risks that are there from here until next June? I don't understand where these players come from with this. Playing for your national team, it's my opinion, should supersede everything. It's your country. It's representing your nation. And I think that's where Pochettino comes at it from the angle that he comes at this. Because he's thinking anybody and everybody would be desperate to get a call-up for Argentina.
Ooh, yeah.
And you would die for Argentina. And I don't think he's getting that sense from a lot of these players that so easily say, I'm okay with skipping a regional tournament. I can see where Pochettino's coming from. I don't like the way that he's going about things because I think the communication should be far more open and straight and straightforward between the players. But I can understand his feeling in saying, these guys are so easily dismissing the opportunity to play for their national team. How is that something that is acceptable? Apparently it is.
When I say it's cultural, I don't just mean where he's from. I mean, he grew up in Italy, he grew up in England, he's played where football is very, very important to society. I also think it's cultural in the sense of this generation, these players. They were gifted opportunities with the U.S. men's national team. I don't want to sit here, old man yelling at the cloud, but the things you had to do to make a U.S. men's national, to make a national team, it wasn't just, we're going to give you these appearances because the previous generation didn't take advantage of it and we need to blow it up. So learn. No, you had to earn your way, and you had to earn it with the likes of some very important national team players. There'd be a tug of the ear when things didn't go well. That would show you and guide you. These players did not have that. These players had a Lord of the Flies mentality together in their upbringing with the U.S. men's national team. And when you have that Lord of the Flies mentality, well, they're going to think they run and that's what we're seeing right now. Yunus seems like a very sweet guy. He seems like he's a hard worker, like he says. Everybody likes him. I buy it. But if you're going to make that decision for yourself, your health, if that's your priority, you have to know there could be consequences with it. And if I think there are consequences that come with it, I'm doing whatever it takes to speak to Mauricio Pochettino myself and have him understand where I am coming from.
All right, well, let's hear what Massimiliano Allegri had to say on Santi Gimenez after the game. He said, look, he's a bit behind in terms of fitness, but he worked hard, gave everything he could, and in the end had a great header chance that didn't go in. But it's not about Santiago, it's about all of us. We all need to take responsibility when we play and prepare matches in a certain way. We simply cannot concede goals like that. All right, so not the best outing there for Milan. Any concerns there for Santi?
Plenty of concerns for Santi. Santi Gimenez, they paid a lot of money in Serie A terms and Milan terms for a player that they expected to be the 9. They expected for a very long time. That's going to lead the line, score goals, be that type of player. And certainly, by all accounts, you could say he's underwhelmed since his signing. There have been a few moments, flashes, but certainly not what they expected from a player like Santi Gimenez. It was a tough game for him. It was a tough game in terms of generating quality chances, tough game in terms of hold-up, link play, in terms of looking sharp. He did look rusty when AC Milan was training, when most of the players who had Gold Cup commitments were back with their team. He was still vacationing. It was something the club allowed him to do to get his rest, but he took that time. It shows that he's not fit. It shows that he's not match fit. He's a player that, unless he's scoring goals for you, he does very little. He's not great at hold-up. He's not great at link-up play. He's a player that if the game's in front of him, he's very good. If he has quality chances, he's going to score some goals. But for a team like Milan, they need more out of their 9. And you can see that. So much so that the way they're playing right now, it's Christian Pulisic and Santi Gimenez leading the line. They lack creativity. It's Luka Modric in the midfield, and that's about it. So if you're a player like Santi Gimenez who depends on movement, you need a little bit more out there. And he's not had that. You look at a player like, I'm going to go the opposite end for the Mexican national team, Raul Jimenez. Add ball into him, just hold the ball. He tries turning with it. They lose the ball in a bad sector, and immediately it's a cross and then the scissor kick. You have to be better with the ball. He's not proven to be better with the ball. This is why Raul Jimenez, who's going to be 35 years of age, come next summer in the World Cup, right now is pole position to start for the Mexican national team because he does all those little things right. So if he's not showing up on the score sheet, he's still helping his team. That's where Santi Gimenez needs to improve.
Ale, this is very much your area of the box right here that we're talking about. Looking at Santi's situation there, also knowing the fact that AC Milan are flirting with the idea of signing a 20-year-old striker from Sporting Lisbon, a Danish striker, Konrad Harder. If you're Santi Gimenez now, how concerned are you? Or are you just saying, look, it's early on in the season, I just have to get a couple cobwebs out, I'll get it right?
You know what happened with Santi, right? he went to the Gold Cup. If he had listened to Yunus, if he well rested, no issues, he would have started this season flying. Look, it's hard to remember the last great game that Santi Gimenez had. And then I think you have to go back to the Netherlands for that.
Feyenoord City.
You have to you have to go back in time. And I don't see a player that quite understands how he can be useful to his team, to the point that Herculez was making, in regards to, if I'm not tapping the ball in, what else can I do? And it's one thing, and this is a concerning part, it's one thing to not do it, but I just don't think that he knows how to do it. I don't think he recognizes the moments for an in-to-out run, the moments that require a hold-up play, the moments that require something different from him, a different type of movement, a diagonal movement in behind, something that perhaps takes him away from goal. He's not going to be goal dangerous by making this decision, but he's going to be useful to his team. And you know how I know that? It's not so much about what he does or doesn't do with Milan. It's in the times that he has played together with Raúl Jiménez with the Mexican national team. You see Raúl Jiménez doing a lot of the running.
Yep.
Coming, going, hold the play, goes that way, goes here, this, takes a headband off, puts it back on.
And then does a lot of the scoring as well.
Yes, absolutely. And Santi Gimenez just stays central the whole time. When you play with another striker, there has to be a give and take. There has to be connected movement. He is very disconnected from the movement of all the other attacking players. And I think right now, at this point in his career, it's too late. This is not something you learn now. This is something that you have to understand by now, at this point in your career. You need to know and have a feel as to what does the game require from me? When do I need to hold it up? When do I need to draw a foul? When do I need to take a run into the channel? When do I need to take defenders on? He is about that broken play that we just saw there in the corner kick that he hits it on the turn. That's where he is at his best, where instinctively he's just thinking one thing and one thing only, goal. When he's out of that sort of comfort zone, he's all over the shop, and he looks like he has never played the game before.
Yeah, what worries me a little bit more is Milan itself. You can see Gimenez scored the goal, and they're sitting back, and you're looking at that midfield. There's Fofana, there's Modric, who's going to be creative, but then there's Loftus-Cheek. And there's not a lot of deft touch. There's not a lot of idea there. So now you've got a player who's dependent on space with a back line who's sitting in, and a non-existent creative midfield. It's not a good recipe, and that's my worry. Is that I don't think Milan, because you can get away with what Ali's saying, being instinctive. If you put this player in the right positions to succeed, I don't think Milan has that right now. Maxi Allegri's still learning what he has, and you can see by the way he's, deploying Christian Pulisic as a second nine, if you will, and the way they're trying to play. But I don't think he's a Maxi Allegri nine. Historically, his nines have been bigger. His nines have been more link up, combative. That's not Santi Gimenez.
One last thing I'll just say very quickly is that with all the things that he's been doing in Europe and was doing in the Netherlands, he should be a player that should be dominating CONCACAF and CONCACAF competition and CONCACAF defenders. Just on size alone, he should be dominating a lot of these players. And it's not happening. If you follow that rhetoric and you follow that train of thought, you figure out there's some issues with this guy and the way that he sees information on the field and how he processes that information.
Well, I don't know if there's any player that we've not criticized today, but we do a lot more criticizing over on our other show, ESPN FC. So please tune in for more criticism. We are on 7 days a week
constructive,
on ESPN.
constructive.
I thought you were being positive.
I was being positive.
Of course, slightly.
Kind of.